Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. When we think about the return of Nathan West to Port Charles, it's not just about the homecoming of a familiar face. It's the resurrection of a narrative that has been simmering quietly and deliberately for months. Nathan's arc isn't the big fireworks moment. Not yet. It's the slow burn. It's the fuse being lit, and one that's been burning under the surface until the moment it ignites. From the moment he stepped back onto the canvas of General Hospital, something about him felt off. The smiles are measured. The glances linger. The pauses between his words carry weight. And this is by design. Because the backbone of this storyline is not simply Nathan returns, it's Nathan returns changed, maybe broken, maybe hiding something, and we the audience are being invited to piece it together. We start with the facts we know. Nathan West, portrayed by Ryan Paevey, had been presumed dead. His absence lasted years. His love, Maxie Jones, moves on. A child grows up without a father. The world moves forward. And then he's back. But the Nathan who returns is not the Nathan we remember. He's quieter. He's steely. And those familiar lines of caring and protection are there. Yes, yet there's something else. Something new. Something unsettling. That's the groundwork of the slow burn. Nathan's return isn't a relief or a triumphant homecoming. It's a question mark. It's a whisper of danger. And as viewers we feel it. Because the show isn't showing us everything. It's leaking clues. It's placing Nathan in situations that make us wonder, who is he now? What did he go through? What is he up to? Let's look at the primary threads of this build. The first is the notion of identity. Nathan West is the good cop, the hero, that's what fans were used to. But now the show is nudging us to rethink that. That identity is unstable. To cite one commentary, Nathan's reappearance in Port Charles isn't random. Every look he gives hints at something bigger. And indeed, the performance and the writing both whisper that this isn't just a return, it's a transformation. But transformed how? Here's where the second thread kicks in, the theories. One proposes that Nathan was abducted or taken by the rival organization DVX, subjected to brainwashing, reprogramming, perhaps even medical alteration. A sleeper agent. Another theory posits something even darker, that his biological father, Caesar Faison, may have left behind more than DNA. Maybe Nathan is carrying fragments of Faison's consciousness, his mind, his mission. Bits of good and bits of evil warring inside. These aren't just wild fan theories. The show's writers and producers have seeded enough breadcrumbs to make these plausible. The looks Nathan gives. The fleeting memory gaps. The discomfort in moments that should be joyous. It's all part of the design. Yes, he's back, but the man behind the badge may not be the same man. That's the tension. That's the fuse. Of course, we have to ask, what changed for Nathan during his years away? We don't know all the details yet. That, again, is the intention. But the absence of Nathan from the world of Port Charles was long and full of mystery. What did he do? Who did he become? Did he do horrible things? Did he survive something unspeakable? The ambiguity is the engine of the storyline. And that ambiguity invites the viewer to lean in, to look for the signs. When Nathan seems too calm about losing 7 years, fans note it. Why would someone wake up and not fall apart? Why would he not rage or weep? Why would he seemingly accept this new reality with such composure? It's odd. Too neat. Too controlled. Which only signals to us, this isn't just a man reclaiming life. This is a man with shadows. We must also consider the emotional stakes. Nathan's love, Maxie. His son, James. His duty as a detective. The family he left behind. Everything he had. He comes back into all of it, yet none of it is settled. The relationships are fractured. The trust is tentative. If the man returning were simply Nathan, the hero we knew, the display of raw emotion might dominate. But what we're seeing instead is control. Distance. A hint of secrecy. And the storyline benefits from that. Because control can crack. Distance leaves room for surprise. Secrets create the explosion. Let's talk about the metaphor of the fuse. Picture it. Nathan's return is like lighting a match in the dark. The match burns slowly at first. A tiny glow at the tip. We sense warmth, we sense danger, but nothing has blown up yet. Then the flame edges closer to the powder keg. Because behind Nathan's calm veneer lies the unanswered question. Who is he beneath? Is he still the Nathan West who loved and protected? Or is he someone new? Someone with mission, burden, perhaps even betrayal built in? The fuse is lit when we see him in situations where his reaction is off. When he looks at things we expect a hero to look at with fierce compassion, but instead he looks away or he hesitates. That's the tiny spark that signals to us. Something big is coming. Because let's be clear, the explosion will matter. In soap terms, the stakes are personal, visceral, dangerous. Nathan's past wounds multiply when you consider what he walked away from. A wife in a coma, a child growing without a father, enemies lurking. The return is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of the reckoning. Everything he avoided or missed must now be faced. And the show is giving us that reckoning piece by piece. Now, we can break it into a few act-like phases. Phase 1 is his arrival and the subtle difference. The man enters the frame. The world is thrilled, but the mood shifts. Phase 2 is the question of what changed. Signs of trauma, signs of compartmentalization, hints that the hero we knew may have become something else. Phase 3 is the looming confrontation. Nathan's psyche, his mission, his loyalty, his identity will all collide. We're still in Phase 2. The fuse is burning. The fingers are hovering on the trigger. And the audience knows. When it goes off, everything will be irreparable. Let's explore some of those signs more concretely. Nathan shows up at the precinct or in his former circles, and his presence is calm. He doesn't rage. He doesn't weep. He observes. He watches. He calculates. That very composure becomes unsettling when you contrast it with what we expect a man who woke up dead and lost 7 years to feel. And fans have called this out. It's not just, why is Nathan so relaxed? It's who is this man? Then there's the question of loyalty. Nathan is intertwined with characters who have deep histories of deception, betrayal, identity crises. Faison, Albrecht, Britt Westbourne, Nina Reeves. The introduction of Nathan's biological father being Caesar Faison means his bloodline is tied to one of the show's most infamous villains. That means Nathan's foundation isn't stable. His biology, his upbringing, his alliances, all of these are shaky. So when he returns, he carries more than himself. He carries a soap language is never benign. It comes with secrets. It comes with hidden operations. With nightmares. With decisions made in darkness. So yes, what if Nathan was recruited, retrained, repurposed? What if for years he didn't just survive, he served? What if for years he loved and lost, but also changed sides or changed mission? These are the shadows creeping behind the hero's badge. And the show is letting the audience feel them. Another element is memory. What did Nathan forget? What did he remember? The gap in his timeline, those missing years, are fertile ground for dramatic reveal. If I were to advise the story, leave enough ambiguity that the audience is always guessing, always slightly behind the door. Show the hero who thinks he's home, but doesn't quite recognize all the furniture. Show the hero whose instincts are off, whose reflexes miss by fractions. Those fractional missteps build tension. And that's exactly what's happening. We also must consider the world around Nathan. Port Charles is not a welcoming town for broken heroes. It's a battleground of secrets, of shady enterprises, of old wounds. Nathan walks into that, and the audience knows the moment he did is the moment the fuse was lit. Because he's engaging with characters who will push him, who will make demands, who will challenge him, who will test whether he's the Nathan they knew, or something new. Emotionally speaking, the audience's investment is strong. Nathan's relationship with Maxie, the love they had, the child they share, it gives the story heart. But the narrative is twisting that heart into something complicated. What if Maxie doesn't entirely trust him yet? What if Nathan gives her reasons to doubt him? What if James, the son, senses the shift? That emotional triangle becomes the perfect stage for the fuse to reach the powder store. Because when loyalty, love, identity, and betrayal converge, that's when we get the catharsis. Now let's talk about pacing. The brilliance of a slow burn is that you allow time for tension to accumulate. You don't rush to the reveal. You savor the pause before the crash. You let the audience feel the ticking. You refuse to let the fuse burn out too quickly. So far, the show has adhered to that. By releasing only glimpses of Nathan's changed persona, by allowing us to see his internal struggle without audible confession, by letting the world around him respond in confusion, concern, suspicion. That's wise. Because when the explosion comes, it means something. It matters. It hurts. It resonates. It also means that every small moment is ripe for analysis. A pause in a conversation. A gaze that shifts too fast. A question left unanswered. All of those details matter when you're playing the slow burn game. They're the sparks along the line. They build frustration, anticipation, readiness. They set the stage for viewer catharsis. And the writers are doing exactly that with Nathan's arc. Let me step into what I'm expecting mode, not to predict with certainty, but to map the likely trajectory of the storyline. The first major reveal will be the uncovering of what Nathan did during his absence. Was he complicit in something dark? Did he turn? Was he forced? Did he choose? The audience will demand it. And once he's forced to confront it publicly, the second piece is whether he remains who we think he is. Will he fight back against the forces that changed him? Or will the force inside win? The third piece is collateral damage. His relationship with Maxie and his son will fracture. The trust will break. And from that broken trust, the final act will be something like either redemption or full villainy, or a gray in between that forces the audience to pick a side. This is the soap genre at its best. Identity crisis, legacy of evil, love squared by deceit, a hero walking in the shadow of his own self. And Nathan's return feels built for that. If the show tries to rush this, it fails. If it drags it endlessly, the tension evaporates. But if it lands right in the sweet spot, we're looking at a landmark storyline for the character and for the canvas of Port Charles. From a craft standpoint, I appreciate how this arc has been handled thus far. The character's return isn't about heroics, flash, and fireworks. It's about waiting. It's about uncertainty. It's about dread. The audience walks in expecting comfort. The show gives them unease. That inversion creates investment. And from what commentary says, fans are picking up on it. Nathan's reappearance. Hang on to your seats. One more dimension. The notion of duality. Nathan as detective versus Nathan as altered man. Nathan as husband/father versus Nathan as instrument of a larger, darker scheme. Nathan the rescuer versus Nathan the sleeper. The fuse metaphor applies because duality is tension. If Nathan is both hero and liability, then everything in his world becomes combustible. The relationships, the cases, the town, his own identity, all become tinder. The real question, when the fuse ignites, will it burn inward, consuming Nathan, or explode outward, taking down everyone around him? Or both? And as the fuse nears its climax, I expect the show to increasingly soundtrack the silence between words. Scenes where Nathan walks through old haunts. Scenes where his son asks a question and he hesitates. Scenes where Maxie watches him and wonders. In that silence, the audience's voice grows louder. Because we're filling in the blanks. We're waiting. And that waiting is the magic of slow burn. Let's reflect on what makes this storyline compelling beyond the usual soap tropes. 1. It's character-driven. Nathan isn't just present for drama. The drama is in him. 2. It's layered. There's the mystery, the identity question, the emotional fallout. 3. It resonates. We all know people who change, who come back different, who are haunted. Nathan's journey parallels that in amplified soap form. 4. The structure rewards patience. The longer the fuse burns responsibly, the bigger the cathartic payoff. But there are risks. If the show drags the mystery without delivering meaningful evolution, interest will fade. If Nathan's transformation is underexplained or inconsistent, the investment collapses. If the audience thinks he's just acting out the same hero role, nothing changed, then what was the point of this return? The fuse must light something substantial. The explosion must alter the landscape. The world of Port Charles must feel shifted because of Nathan. and the show has signaled that it will. So hold on. Because this is the moment in the fabric of the show where the calm before the storm is rising. Nathan West's storyline isn't about his return. It's about what that return means. It's about the damage done, the damage yet to come, the loyalties challenged, the identity under fire. It's about the fuse being lit and the inevitable explosion. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for all of your updates.